might recall back in January-ish, I was home doing this, and I brought my son on, and my son would sing nonstop the way I am, and then he got shy.
Okay.
Didn't do it. So I felt so bad because here you and I are talking, and I'm playing the interview on the radio the next day, and then I had to send a copy of my son actually singing it in the back of the car when he was like 4 to your rep, so that I didn't look like a liar. You know what I mean?
I don't think I wouldn't take you as a liar at all.
I know.
That's like one time I had to sing in front of Love Potion #9 in front of Joni Mitchell, and I almost shat my pants. So I don't think I understand what it's like to be nervous to sing in front of somebody.
Let's talk, dude. You've been busy. First of all, before we get to Left and Right and the new album Charlie, which is coming out in October, I read my notes. I know all about it.
Yeah.
I noticed in the video, you're kind of doing this more than in other videos.
Yeah.
Bro, you got long ass fingers.
I do.
Look at mine. I'm the opposite. I'm short and stubby.
Yeah. But you know what? There's something to be said for each individual hand. Ironically, I'm not very good at doing handy work. I'm not really good at physical labor, but I think I was probably just born to play piano. So
yes. Yeah. Have you ever seen Bruce Hornsby's fingers?
No, I would assume
they're like double yours almost.
Really?
Yeah.
So I guess to play on piano on a record like I Can't Make You Love Me, to make those big interval changes, you gotta have big fingers.
You stretch them out.
Rachmaninoff had big fingers.
So let's talk about the new album, dude. Last time we talked, yes, we talked about Light Switch. Yes, we talked about you working on new projects. And
yeah.
I always love the songwriting process and everything that you guys and gals have to go through as producers and writers and performers. And so how quickly did Charlie come together?
Charlie came to, there's somebody asked me that the other day. They were like, oh, did you write 200 songs? And no, I wrote 12 songs, and I went through the process of, if the song left my head, because I start every song, I start it with a day. And if I repeat the chorus in my head enough, where it doesn't leave my head, that means it's worthy enough for me to actually make the song. And if I wrote another song in my head and it left me after an hour, it probably isn't good enough to stay on the album. So I just did that 12 times, started with That's Hilarious, then with Light Switch. And I think Left and Right was one of the last records we made for the album. It was like kind of a last minute addition. It was made in February, end of February, early March. And I was listening to the Beatles and listening to how Paul and Ringo would sing from the left speaker to the right speaker. And that was, of course, due to the recording limitations they had at the time, like, recording on an 8-track for all those kids out there that don't know that you don't have 164 tracks to record everything under the sun like you do now.
Like if they had on their iPhone now what the Beatles had back in the day.
Oh, they'd be able to. The fact that we can fix things visually digitally is unbelievable still to me. But I was fascinated by how you'd hear Yellow Submarine and there'd be a vocal on the left side. And I thought, why not kind of combine that with something modern? And once I had that concept in my head, I thought, well, what if the lyrics were literally me saying I'm over here and I'm painting a musical room? So I try to be kind of innovative in that way, painting a very innovative picture for the entire song.
I loved it because, like, I heard Left and Right and I go, geez, Charlie's mailing it in. Like, left and right, like, what do we, I mean, was Up and Down already taken? I think now you're giving it context.
Well, it's hard to do Up and Down because stereo imaging has, everybody listening to you guys in the car, listening to this right now, wherever they're listening to this, their cars have a stereo image. That's been around since like the 20s, but maybe the 30s. A lot of things used to be in monophonic. But if I feel bad for the people who have a speaker broken in their car. They're going to hear 50% of the song.
I did morning radio in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it was like a really janky setup at the radio station. This was years ago when I first got into morning. And somebody called in and they go, I hear Maney's microphone on the AM. I'm in like a city truck, and I only have an AM radio in the truck, and I only hear his microphone. And it was because our janky engineer set up the studio in some way that only my microphone and the other two co-hosts I had,
No way.
but he would just hear me go, yeah, oh, no doubt about it, and then like make jokes and punchlines, and he had no idea what was going on.
No way. Oh, that's hilarious. Actually, I wonder. Somebody recently, I was doing some another interview somewhere else, and the somebody got on and was like, "Hey, I just want to thank you for your song Left and Right." I'm like, "Okay, thanks so much. I'm glad you're playing it." But they're like, "No, it actually solved a major issue on our station. We had the wires mixed up, so it was swapped. So when we heard 'I Can Feel You Over Here,' it was on the right side instead of the left side. So we realized that our channels for every song we were playing, every Halsey song, every Camila song, whatever, all the channels were mixed up, and so I helped somebody fix their station, just like you.
Yes. And like you're trying to help me get on Zoom before. You're a good man.
I'm I tell everybody that if I'm not doing music, I'm obsessing over computers. I was recording piano yesterday, and Windows 95 was embedded into this 90s sound tracking system, this SSL recording board that was top of the line 30 years ago, and it had Windows 95 on it. And I'm like, ooh, it's so nice.
Such a big deal back then, that Windows 95.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about Jungkook being on Left and Right.
Yeah. Such a talented guy. He really added a lot of depth to the record. I any collaboration that I do, I never want it to feel like the label put this together, but it came about from a true friendship, and we had only performed with each other one time, but the fact that we now have a song together just makes me so happy. I hope to work with more members of the band too.
Does somebody like that who you have come on an album with you give you any feedback about the record, or do they just pretty much like send me what you need and I'm good?
It was a send me what you need situation. I of course gave him the option, whatever you feel, whatever doesn't feel right to you, change. But our voices, he was able to make morph his voice into my voice. So when we sing together, it almost sounded like two different versions of me, maybe like one with a different tonality. Just our voices blended very well.
Before, by the way, the album is coming out October 7th. It's called Charlie, and Left and Right. You'll be playing on Kiss. We'll be playing it on Kiss 95.1 here in Charlotte, of course.
By the way, you guys are killing it. I like to educate myself on like what's happening on Media Base and radio, and I really I'm very humbled as to how much you guys are playing it. That's really nice of you.
And we play a lot of your tracks too. I mean, it's great. You're synonymous with Kiss 95.1 right now, and with the Maney and the Red Morning Show. So we appreciate that. Before we out of here, school is starting for us, and my son, who's going into the 4th grade, just came back from his little fishing pond area. This is what I dealt with before I came on with you. And he's like, "Dad, a bunch of middle schoolers came down, and they just bullied us, and we had to leave." So I know there's a lot of people listening, Charlie. Yeah, I know. Can you imagine?
What were they bullying him about?
They didn't. Well, he was there with a bunch of friends. They're in elementary, so the middle schoolers came, and I guess there was a group, and like 2 of them in the group were friendly, and then the other 2 were kind of like, hey, whatever, get out of here. And I said, well, do they at least go fishing? He's like, no, they didn't even have rods. I go, so they threw you out of the fishing hole, and they didn't even stay and go fishing. So Charlie, it's somebody who's been through this, and somebody who's very prominent in the music industry. Dare I call you a celebrity? Yes, I do. Somebody who we care about. If you start dating another big name celebrity, yes, we will care about it. That important for you to tell people how they should handle bullying in school this year. I'd like to know what you have to say quickly, if you could, because I know it's time. Our time is short.
All I'll say is that you never know. I believe as humans, we're all put on this earth to utilize each other's help, and you never know whose help you're going to need, and you never know what person on the other side is going to need your help. And these experiences kind of stick forever within you when they happen to you. And you know, if I'm just me, for example, if I was by that pond and I was the bully in this case, and I that person on the pond who just entered the fourth grade and happened to become in 2030 the hottest producer in all of the music industry, and I'm at my wit's end, like just trying to get in with them. They're always going to remember how rude I was to them at the pond, and now they call their record label Fish Pond Records or something, and I would be like, I would do anything to be signed. I mean, it's a little bit of an outlandish example. It's just the point is you never know whose help you're going to need, and you never know who you could be working with one day, and who could like really enhance your life. So as
I love,
cheesy as it is, just be kind to everybody. I mean, it really be kind to everybody for a reason. You never know when you're going to need them.
dude, you've said it all. I
Mm-hmm.
love. Before I go, just one quick thing, and I know I have to let you go. I want you to look up. We were talking about recording earlier,
Yeah.
and about left and right and all that stuff. Look up on YouTube songs where things that happened in the background are still part of the song. For instance, like Roxanne in the beginning when
Mm-hmm.
Sting's piano
Yeah.
falls piano and they leave it in there, you know, and they all laugh about it.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of those too that I think you might find interesting.
Oh, that's what, especially on this album, I'll tell you, there's, I try and make everything sound as pristine and perfect as possible, but there's imperfections that I've left in some of these songs
That's
because
so cool.
it just has that human element. And by the way, let that I'll call him pond fishing bully know that he's not coming to any of my shows ever.
In fact, I'm going to tell him right now, you can't buy Charlie. I don't want you to download it.
No, and he better not have any aspirations to be a singer because you're not playing any of the songs.
If I catch a song called Fish Pond in your next album, I'm going to lose it. I love it. My man.
Oh,
dude,
good.
all the success. Love talking to you. Always do.
Absolutely.
And there's an opportunity to sit down and chat with you. I really appreciate it. You're one of the best, man.
You're one of the best. I really appreciate and thank you so much. I work really hard on this music, and to have it be played as much as you guys are playing it really does mean a lot to me. And it doesn't
Good.
go unnoticed. It goes right to me. So that's really awesome. Thank you.
I'm here in town. Bye, Charlie.
Bye bye.